Disafterdark is a member of the Mice Chat Podcast Network. MicePod.com. Now, the podcast that's nearly the same as all the others.
Warning, this show contains childish adult content and is intended for immature, mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The views spoken are ours and ours alone, not those of any other bloke. I've just sighed again.
I know, yeah.
The show hasn't even started.
Everybody eating pretty. Then on with the show.
I owe someone a down of a pint now, but I haven't opened it yet.
Pint of whiskey as well.
Yeah. Don't worry, only 30 seconds to go.
Should be, you know what? That should be extra punishment that you're doing it before we even cracked on.
I'll try and make it the only one. Oh, thank you. Yes, I know. We're here. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Disafterdark. I'm Paul.
I'm Nick.
And I'm the other Paul, hopefully with a better microphone this week.
Hey. And
I'm Lewis.
Yeah, joining us in the Mouse's Head tonight. It was a long journey to get here, I have to say. Lewis.
Cost a fortune.
Hey, Lewis.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Mustn't grumble. You notice I avoided saying no worries there.
That's it.
Yeah. I think I've just blown it though, haven't I?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
At least you didn't sigh that time.
No, we'll get onto that bit in a minute.
This show is called Disafterdark.
Yeah.
But because of, if you hadn't already guessed, our guest Lewis is from Australia, in Australia. And so, although it's Disafterdark for us...
So welcome to DisBeforeDawn.
Yeah, it's pretty much Disbefore Dawn to him. So,
and there's the show episode title.
And thank you very much for joining us, because obviously having to get up so early to speak to us, we fully appreciate it. So thank you.
So at least three of us are drinking. Lewis, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Well, I am Australian, and it is 5 o'clock in the morning. And I contemplated drinking a beer or something like that, but I thought that's just pushing it a little bit too much. So I thought, instead of drinking something this morning, I'd planned to eat something that was Disney related. So later on today, I'm going to have some shreddies, which I brought back from London with me. And the shreddies, of course, were featured in the Marvel movie Thor: The Dark World. So I thought that was quite Disney related.
Good choice. I like that.
Well, what can you say?
I'm going to have to eat more breakfast cereals instead of drink beer. Or possibly not.
I believe this is the point as well that I have to say that there is no other alternative to shreddies.
You are supposed to say that, yes.
Yeah. Not that they're sponsoring us, but I'm just not allowed to say anything else. Not yet, but we'll work on it.
Is anyone else having a tasty beverage?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it is tasty, but Paul, go ahead.
No, I was just, I don't have a Disney connection. I have an Australian connection just in honour of Lewis. Can't get that one out, actually. And I did start this beverage a little while ago. So I've got no top to pop this week. Oh, God, I'm struggling. I just got a Foster's. I'll cut to the chase. Yeah. It's a Foster's. Cheer, Cobber.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Can I just point something out at this juncture? That up until recently, we didn't actually drink Foster's in Australia. The only place that you'd actually get Foster's is if you went to the UK. And yeah, you'd very rarely find it on tap here in Australia. But they have recently started selling cases of it or cartons of it in our local bottle-os. So yeah, it's starting to get sold, but it hasn't been for a very long time.
Wow.
Those damn marketing people.
Yeah, the real challenge would have been to find some VB.
Oh, yes, very true, very true.
Nick?
Well, I would be celebrating with a Vegemite sandwich, but unfortunately I'm a Marmite fan myself. But I was going to go for a Castlemaine Forex, also in tribute to Lewis, but I think it's been discontinued. So I think I've gone for a Disney connection here. I have got a premium pale ale that is Bass number 1.
Okay.
Now, I'm pretty sure, is that not what they serve in the Rose and Crown?
They do indeed serve
our international version of the Mouse's Head.
Yeah, they do indeed serve bass there.
Well, there you go. So here we go.
Having been sat in the beer garden with someone who didn't like what they'd ordered, so left it, and yeah, between a man and wife couple leaving over 7/8 of their pints there, decided they did not like the pint of Guinness and the pint of base they had ordered. So we drank it.
It's a rather large bottle. It's a 500 ml. Let me just. That's actually nice.
Yeah. I've gone for a movie theme.
Movie.
A movie theme. I have gone for some Courage directors. So that's the closest I can get.
Is that in tribute to Disney's Hollywood Studios?
It is. It must be.
It may be, or the musical of the same name. Oh, I don't know who did that. Mel Brooks, probably. Gentlemen, how can people get in touch with us?
Yes, well, of course, they can visit our website, shining and bright, at www.disafterdark.com, or they can email us at podcast@disafterdark.com.
And we are, of course, on Twitter at DisAfterdark, facebook.com/DisAfterdark, and you can find us on micechat.com.
Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, etc., etc. You know this off by heart by now if you've been listening to us for long enough.
But new people are rolling in every week.
They
That's
are.
for their benefit.
27 new likes on Facebook this week alone.
Which brings us up to 31, I believe, overall.
I think Lewis has been telling lots of his mates that he's going to be on a podcast this week.
Yeah.
I'll believe me. I'll be pushing it. I'll get it out to all the Disney fans I know that I'll be on the podcast this week. It's a very exciting time for me.
Rock on. Right. Anyway, Lewis, I think it's time for that kind of interview. Tell us about yourself. How have we managed to get you all the way from Australia into our little bar?
Well, the way it happened is that just going back, are you guys, when you were growing up, were you big fans of Walt Disney World and the program and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
I wish I was, but I came from a poor family. We didn't get there.
No. I think what he means more is not so much going there, but seeing it or knowing it.
Yeah, the wonderful world of Disney.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Watching a TV show because, as you guys know, I'm from Australia, but I'm from Western Australia, so we're apparently the most isolated place in the world, or something to that extent. And at the time when I was growing up, there was no theme parks in WA at all. And even to this day, we've got a theme park called Adventure World, and it's okay, but it's kind of naff because it's got it's got a lot of pedal powered kind of equipment there and that sort of thing. So one of the thrill rides I had growing up was Bounty's Revenge, which was basically a sailboat which would swing up a bit and then swing back a bit and then swing up a bit.
You know, you're asking for trouble calling it Adventure World.
Yes. So it was growing up. The only connection I had with theme parks really was seeing Disney World, Walt Disneyland World on TV. And so even as a young child, I knew that there was Walt Disney World and there was Disneyland, and you'd see these magical places. But being in Australia, there was no chance of ever going to those places. And so it was one of those things. Growing up, I was going, I've got to get there one day. And so eventually I did. My wife and I, a few years back, went to Disneyland Paris, and I just fell in love with Disney at that point. It was just like, my God, this is fantastic. It's living the dream when you're in a Disneyland park. And so when I came back, I wanted to find some Disney podcasts to listen to be able to just keep things going between visits to Disneyland parks. And when I searched for it, I found your podcast. I was just going, yep, this is a Disney podcast set in a bar. This is the one for me. And so I started listening to yours, and then through yours I listened to like Diz Dream Girls and some other Disney podcasts as well. But it's been really good to be able to keep up with Disney in between visits and like get tips and ideas, because the stuff that you guys have given us has helped us to avoid a lot of lines and things like that in the Disneyland parks.
Oh, I'm glad we could be of service here, really.
I didn't even realise our hints and tips actually worked.
Yeah, we make those up on the spot.
we give away hints like stand that side of the line in the hope that everyone does, so we can stand in the other side and get there quicker.
Giving away the trade secrets here, Paul.
But so far as my Disney experience goes, my wife and I, we've been to Disneyland Paris. We've been there twice. Most recently, we were there for New Year's this year. And last in 2013, we got over to Disneyland in Anaheim for the first time, and that was just absolutely sensational. So, and next year, we're planning on getting over to Orlando and doing Orlando around the February-March.
So, Lewis, if you don't mind me asking, because I mean that's a great achievement. I mean, I think, Paul, you've done both coasts.
Yep.
Mr. Dolan, you've done Orlando,
And
as have me and Paris.
yeah, I've done the other coast as well.
Oh, you've done.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
Yep.
So it's just me that's lacking there. But I suppose especially from your location, the obvious choice for me would be to say Disneyland Tokyo.
Yeah.
Or Hong Kong, even. I mean, what's the?
Is that in your future plans, Lewis?
Yeah, definitely. Like the plan is because so after I went to Disneyland Paris, I was sold on Disney, and my plan is to get to a Disneyland park every year, which I've managed to do so far. And it's Tokyo and Shanghai's opening up as well. Hong Kong, all those parks are also on the agenda as well, because even though there's a lot of similarities between the parks, each of the different have got their regionalised kind of things, which are very unique to those parks. So definitely all Disney parks are definitely on the agenda.
Great.
We need
to try and get to Adventureland in Western Australia.
Oh yeah, you'll have to come down to Adventure World. There's
Adventure World, sorry.
Don't get too confused, Paul. Two different places, Adventureland, Adventure World.
Yeah.
It's gotten better over the years. They're less reliant on pedal power stuff now, and there's actually a decent roller coaster they've got there and that sort of thing. But the actual Adventure World model itself on Disneyland, so it had a castle in the middle and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was okay. But then in Australia, if you want to go to theme parks, you go to Queensland, and Queensland's got a Warner Brothers Movie World, Dream World, Sea World. So that's where the theme park mecca is of Australia. And they're quite good parks. They're not a patch on Disney.
It's quite funny because, I mean, we've got some very famous theme parks in the UK, and we've got some very famous and not very good theme parks, but we've also got places like Alton Towers, Chessington, Thorpe Park. There are others. I'm really trying hard not to use that catchphrase that people don't like me using. But when I go to these places, and I mean, to be fair, I've not been to them for about 4 or 5 years now, but when you go to these theme parks, they are theme parks in the sense that there is a theme, and they have some very good rides, and some of the rides are, you could argue are more advanced than some of the things you get at Disney parks or Universal. But to me, what makes Disney so special is the fact that there is that magic there. There is that history of the films or cartoons that you grew up with, or live action films that you saw that were under the Disney banner. That people can connect to Disney. Lots of people, there's lots of reasons why people like different parts of Disney, but it's something that universally, pardon the pun, is there. And I think when you go to theme parks like that, where they try and use that model, so like you say, they had a castle and things like that, it's a good attempt. But if you don't have the history, if you don't have that connection, that personal connection with people, then it's just a park with some entertainment. It's not magic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly right. I mean, it's the point where they opened up Adventure World back in the 80s. They had like a koala and a platypus as their mascot, but there was no context to them. They were just people in suits. They didn't have a TV show or anything like that. So it was just like there's a koala and there's there's a platypus. So you go to Disney Park and you go, my God, there's Mickey Mouse. It's just like it's such an iconic thing. And I didn't realize how effective I would get doing a character meet and greet, because we hadn't, up until this last visit, ever done one. But because we were staying at a Disneyland hotel, we stayed at the New York hotel. Mm-hmm. We got the extra magic hours. And on New Year's Day, we got into the park early, and we went to the Princess Pavilion where Anna and Elsa are doing their meet and greet. And we just went, we should do this because the line is short. We can get in there and we're going to get a good photo. And I was kind of thinking we'd go and meet Anna and Elsa, and there'd be girls in cosplay, and it would be a bit just girls in costume. But when we actually met them, it was like meeting the characters. The girls were so versed in their characters; they were just inhabiting the character of Anna and Elsa. It was absolutely brilliant. So
there are people listening to this going, no, it's not girls that were being the character. It was the characters. It was the characters. There's got to be some. No. We know. You know it.
No, but I think you're spot on. I think that analogy is spot on about that, because I don't know if you get them in Australia at all, but we do get, even here in England, I suppose character meet and greets with Mickey Mouse, where it's somebody in a very shabby looking costume.
Someone has hired it from the local fancy dress costume store.
And it doesn't quite have that magic.
Oh, he looks inebriated.
And the thing is, when you go to Disney Park, it doesn't matter if you go to Orlando or you go to Anaheim or you go to Tokyo or Hong Kong or Paris. When you go to Disney Park, you're meeting Mickey Mouse.
Exactly.
That is the real Mickey Mouse, and you see him, and you know that is the Mickey Mouse you used to watch as a kid.
Yeah,
the real deal.
That's exactly right.
And so that's it. Those people you meet at those parks are the real deal.
So starting from the moment you shut your front door of your house, your last trip over New Year's. What does the average trip from Australia to Disneyland Paris look like?
Okay, as far as the trip goes, we decided that we wanted to go for New Year's, and so on we had a Christmas Eve with our friends. We had a Christmas Day with our family at 7:30. We jumped on a plane. So 7:30 we went to the airport and jumped on a plane at 10:30, and then it was an 11-hour flight to Dubai. Then we got the plane to Dubai, and it was a couple of hour layover. And then I think it was an 8-hour flight to London Heathrow from there. So it's pretty much a full day of travel when you're going from Australia to the UK. But funnily enough, though, on the way there, you just arrive energized and ready to go. And so we arrived on Boxing Day, and we got out into London on the Boxing Day sales and had a walk around the street. Which was an experience.
Yes.
That is a good description.
That would de-energize you.
Didn't dare go into any shop, but we certainly enjoyed the hustle and bustle of the street. Although it was interesting that not many restaurants were opened on Boxing Day, so it was hard to find anything to eat. So we ended up getting the most expensive burgers in the world from the hotel room service, but. It was still quite a good experience. And then we went over to Paris after that, jumped on the Eurostar, and we spent the first 3 nights in Paris itself, doing a bit of the cultural stuff, just going to the Louvre and going to the Eiffel Tower. And actually, we did a walking tour of Paris that was looked at different film sets and things like that set in Paris.
Wow,
and one of the things
interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a really good tour that I highly recommend. I'll send you through the details if you can put a link up on it, because I think if anyone goes to Paris and is a film fan, it's a great tour for them to go, oh my God, yeah, I remember seeing this in Midnight in Paris, and they actually point out the restaurant that was the inspiration for the restaurant in Ratatouille. So that was quite funny.
Oh, excellent.
That there was, yeah. Apparently, the producers of Ratatouille, or the designers, they sent them over to Paris to do their research, and their research entailed going and eating in all of these expensive restaurants for about a month. So it was a very very high production budget just based on that. But yeah, no, it was great. That was really good. But then after we immersed ourselves in the culture of Paris, we jumped on one of the underground trains or the overland trains and went to Disneyland Paris. And we arrived there at about 3 in the afternoon, which wasn't. I think it might have been a bit early because 3 was when we could get our bags booked in. So we left the bags there. And then we went to get some food beforehand. And have you guys eaten at the Planet Hollywood there?
Yeah, in downtown Disney Village, yes.
Defining the word eaten, I have taken food, passed it through my teeth, chewed it a bit, and imbibed it into my gullet. But as for describing it as actually eating, I didn't.
Not a fan. Not
Yeah.
impressed.
Not a fan.
Yeah, it's a bit dodge. I must admit. We had to wait to get a seat. So we went up there and we waited at the bar. We had a drink and stuff like that. But yeah, the food was not the best. But the thing that gets me about the place is just how dated it is. That they haven't put any time and effort into actually trying to keep it updated and current. And they've got this big mural thing at the back. And I was looking at it. Some of the actors I just couldn't even place. They were just so old. So I think, if anything, that place needs a definite upgrade if they want to keep going. Although the place was packed, so maybe they think they don't need to do anything to keep it up to date to get people
I was
in
going to
there.
say, as a movie buff, it's not like any films have been released since Rambo 3 and The Terminator.
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
Planet Hollywood is a weird one because I don't think I've been to Planet Hollywood there since about 2009, 2010. And we used to go to the one in London quite often because I got a membership thing and it's quite cheap to eat in there. So it was like a reasonably priced meal because Planet Hollywood really is just average food at an exorbitant price. So it made it reasonable, which is fine. We used to go there every now and again. And the last one went to Paris, it was fine. But I've seen a lot of reviews recently on forums saying how bad the food has got. So I don't think, unfortunately, your experience is wrong. And Planet Hollywood's a weird franchise because they used to be lots, and I think now, like globally, there's about 10 or something left. And Paris is still an original Planet Hollywood.
Oh, right.
The London one has recently been made over, as has Times Square, and don't get me wrong, I don't think the makeover was all that great. There is certainly more modern stuff in there with some of the more famous bits and pieces, but
Rambo 5.
but there's it was just called Rambo, but yeah, it's the vibes changed in there, and it doesn't feel quite as dated. It does feel more modern, but at the same time, it seems to have lost a little bit in translation.
I think part of the problem Planet Hollywood as a franchise have got is that it wasn't that the restaurant that was actually started by like Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone.
They invested into it,
heavily into. So all of the props on the walls were donated by them, and it's not like the studios have actually given them anything. Whereas you go to the Hard Rock Cafes and like bands and artists around the world have just gone, there you go, I don't want this guitar anymore, you have it, put it on the wall.
That is true.
Whereas the Hollywood studios haven't actually given anything away to say, here you go, put this, Dorothy's ruby slippers, because that's some movie collector.
You know what? Actually, I think the Orlando one's quite good.
Yeah.
I think, has it closed down yet? I know it's closing down because of the expansion. But the one in Orlando's got props from Forrest Gump and Apocalypse Now outside, and I don't understand this one. Topiaries from Edward Scissorhands. That one's always confused me.
I don't know. What Paris needs to get rid of the Planet Hollywood and replace it with a Hard Rock Cafe.
You know what? I'm not a big fan of the Hard Rock.
No?
No, I find it too loud in there. Paris has got a Hard Rock Cafe as well, which is probably why they won't do it.
Yeah, that possibly. Yeah.
In Paris itself.
And the fact that if you are to take, the French artistes and populate it, there's only so many keyboards Jean-Michel Jarre has.
Plastic Bertrand, don't forget about him.
Ça plane pour moi. And Vanessa Paradis, that's it.
Jacques Brau's just not popular anymore.
Charles Aznavour. Have we exhausused our supply of French artists?
call him
I just made hang on, I've got to apologise. Jacques Brau isn't French. He's Belgian. I'm gonna before anyone gives me any hate for that. I've resolved it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah. Moved on.
All right. Well, that's a discussion for another day. What can replace Hollywood? But anyway, so you had a meal there, and it wasn't very good.
It wasn't great, but the hotel's brilliant. Like that's one of the things I find when you're staying at Disney hotels. They really don't want to hold you up and stuff like that. They get you in, they get you out, they look after your bags and whatnot, and that was really good. So after that, we went to the room, got unpacked, then we went to hit the parks. But we got there at about 4 o'clock, and by that time, the fast pass of everything had gone. Went down to the Disney Studios and to the Ratatouille area. But the line for the ride was like up to over 2 hours at that point. I was like, we've got a booking at Chez Remy at Bistro Chez Remy at 6 o'clock, and I thought, we wouldn't make it in time if we did that one. So we saw Crusher's Coaster had a 45-minute wait, and we'd never done Crusher's Coaster before. And I thought, that's I'm hearing good things about this. We should go and do that. And so we got into the line, and I think it must have taken much longer than the 45 minutes they put on the waiting time. But it was one of those things when it was, unfortunately, this is the only time it happened during the whole trip, but we saw something un-Disney happen while we were in this line. Because we wound through the large part of the line, we're almost to the bit where you get into the loading area, and there was these girls with a couple of young kids, and they pushed in the line. They opened one of the little gates and ignored the throngs of people in front of them and just said, no, we're more important. We're going to push in, and they pushed in. And then I tried to open the gate and say, no, get back. That's not the good thing to do. And they wouldn't go back. And so I didn't let them in behind me, and then a lot of people didn't let them in behind them. Eventually, they got let in by someone. And then, so I was like, this is good. I hope Karma gets them. But unfortunately, it did. But it also got us all wrapped up in it as well. Because just as we're getting down to the loading area where the turtles come up, we were about to get onto the ride, and the ride broke down. And it broke down for about half an hour or so. Yeah. And the lights went on, and all the Disney crew came in to fix it. And I'm glad they ended up having to wait. We had to wait with them, so it was a bit unfortunate start to the. But we managed to. We didn't have to call it. We actually stayed there, and we got on the ride, and it was good. And then we got over to Bistro Chez Remy, and had our meal, which was really, really good. I was just so impressed by the theming of that restaurant.
So better than Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, just a touch better than Planet Hollywood. Yeah. It was just amazing. Like when you walk in there, and the way that they point out the tiles on the floor and the panes of the wall and everything like that. So that when you walk through, you actually get that feeling of changing size when you're going into the actual restaurant itself. But no, it was great. The food in there was really good. It was. Have you guys eaten there before?
No, so I'm the only one that's actually gone to or has been to Paris since the ride opened or the area opened. So I went on the ride, and sorry to say, when I went on the ride, 5-minute wait time. But that's what happens when you go a different time of the year.
Yeah.
But Chez Remy, we debated heavily about it, and because of the party, i.e. 2 adults and an 18-month-year-old with another on the way, menu options were limited, and we didn't think it would be very entertaining for our little one, so we decided not to. But I did spend a bit of time walking around the restaurant as it was opening up, and as you say, the theming is just so clever. The way they've made the chairs out of bottle tops and what are the tables? I can't remember what the tables are supposed to be.
I can't remember. There were booths there where it was done like dish racks, and they had big dishes.
Yes.
Yep. And they had all of the lights were like Christmas tree lights that were hanging from the roof. And it was just amazing the way they'd done the place. And the food was really quite good. It was like the entree that we had was I think it was a gusto and a I can't remember the actual name of the two different options, but it was like a fragois was the entree, and then they had a steak, which was a really nice piece of steak as a main course, and it was just really nice food. It's so impressive because you think you're going to a theme park that the food's going to be a bit crap, but it was actually really good food in there. It is as you said though, it's a very limited menu, so you really only have a choice of a steak or a slightly better steak. But the funny thing was that all the food is served with ratatouille. But if you get the next step up menu, then your ratatouille is much nicer presented, and the other ones it just comes in a bowl. But if you get it the more expensive one, it comes that's like in a sliced up bits of zucchini, and it's got all the stuff inside it. It's a very nice presentation. So if you're going there, I recommend just spending a few extra dollars to get the slightly more expensive one, just because it's a better cut of meat and it just looks a bit nicer.
Yeah. No, that's good. And so anyone going, there's a recommendation, and certainly one. The next trip, I think we will be. We might go for the day later this year. So if we do, it'll just be the two of us. So we could probably eat somewhere like that instead. But yeah. Cool.
And after we left the restaurant, we noticed that the line for ratatouille was now down to about 30 minutes. We thought, we'll give that a crack. So we got onto it, and that ride I thought was amazing. It was just enjoyable seeing these the rat-shaped cars just like rock up to the loading area.
Oh, it's so impressive! So impressive.
Yeah, it's just I could have just sat there all day just watching these cars like move independently themselves, and when there's some there that are waiting to go, the other cars will park up and then they'll move into the space, and just the way they move is fantastic. But then also before you get on the ride, just that bit in the line where you're walking through, and they've got this area of Paris that you go through with the restaurant and everything like that. It's just absolutely sensational. They've done a brilliant job with that. The ride itself was just so entertaining with the 3D screens and the movement of the rides, and the areas that are actually practically built. It was just a brilliant ride. We ended up going on about four times, I think, over the 4 days that we were there, and it was enjoyable every single time. Yeah,
I think what's fun as well is as you say about the cars coming in, you don't know where they're going to go, and also I went on it twice, but I went using a single rider line because my wife couldn't go on at the time, and so I didn't see the bit of Paris that you're talking about. I could hear it and see a little peek of the top of the restaurant from that line, but you skip that bit. But when the cars come in, is also the fact that you don't know where the cars are going to go. So like the order is also random. So I went on the ride twice, and both times I was in a different. The first time I was at the far end when you get to the first scene, and the second time I was right slap bang in the middle. And it is ever so slightly different depending on what way you go. Not by much, but still a little bit. It's very, very clever.
There's a few tweaks. So like some parts you're going through, slightly different areas. But no, it's a great ride. It's certainly worth the wait. But if you can minimise your wait, that's the main thing. So if you've got extra magic hours and stuff like that, I recommend getting there first thing in the morning and jumping on it, because you pretty much get on it straight away if you can do that. Or staying there later at night by the time the park's about to shut. That was one of the things actually about this time of year. The part Disneyland Paris, usually their closing hours are around about 7 o'clock in the evening in the winter time, which is very early for a Disneyland park. But fortunately, around Christmas New Year time, they actually extend those hours out. So the park wasn't closing until 10 o'clock at night, which was really, really good because it gave you that extra time to get on a few more rides.
That's it, and even just a little bit more extra time really can make a difference as well.
Oh, very much so. I couldn't imagine without the extra 3 hours, like just how much more you can get to do in a day there. So it was when we were there. It was till 10 on the 30th and on the 1st. But on the actual New Year's Eve, it was open till 1 o'clock in the morning, and it had 3 different options for your countdown kind of thing. So in the main Disneyland park, they had they were just going to do Disney Dreams of Christmas again. So they had 2 showings of that on New Year's Eve, and then in the studios they had the Lucky Dance Party, which had I think it was a French performer teaching all these people how to dance, and there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people in there. And then they were going to do a fireworks display, which was, of course, Frozen themed. And then, if you wanted to, you could also go over to the Disney Village, where the Disney Lake is. And again, they were going to have a massive fireworks display over the lake. Again, Frozen themed.
Because you first sort of asked us, or even came to our attention, thank you very much, by actually asking us on our Facebook or through email, where's the good place to watch the fireworks at New Year's Eve? We got a few answers from people like Jonathan and Mark as our answers. Where did you actually end up watching them?
Well, funnily enough, it was really cold that night. It was very, very cold, and so we spent some time in at Disneyland Park, and we thought, well, we'll watch Dreams tomorrow night, so we don't need to do that. And then we went into the Lucky Dance Party, and we watched that for a little bit. But we thought it's a bit cold here. So we said, well, why don't we go back to the hotel, because we've got a room that you can see the lake from the room, but it was on the side, so you kind of had to stick your head against the glass to really see it. But it was that way. At least we could go see the fireworks and be warm, and not have to walk through people to get back to the hotel. So we decided to actually go to the back hotel and watch the fireworks from the room, and it was really nice. Just went back to the room, poured a whiskey, watched the fireworks, and it was great. And that way we went straight to bed, because we knew we had to get up the next morning as early as possible to get down to the park to get in and make the most of the extra magic hours. And we did that, but they didn't mention to us that the extra magic hours on New Year's Day actually started an hour later. So we actually got there late, and the gates were still shut. We were like, oh, this is weird. And so we got there at 9 o'clock, and that day was fantastic, because it was, as I said, it was cold the night before. It got down to -4, and so part of the Disney Lake had frozen over. Every bit of vegetation in the parks and the village had frost all over it. All the every pole, every bit, everything was just frosted and had this frozen look to it. So the park was absolutely stunning on New Year's Day. It was absolutely brilliant. I was going around taking photographs of everything, and that was the day we met Anna and Elsa. So I thought it was fairly appropriate.
They would be there on that day.
I actually saw an advert in the UK today. We've got I don't know if this ever hits Australia, but Disney on Ice.
I'm not sure. I know that they are doing Disney on Ice, but I can remember seeing it years ago, decades ago, back when I was a kid, that we had Disney on Ice. But I haven't seen anything recently. I'm sure they'll bring it here.
Yeah, well, they're doing one at the moment, because my oldest is obsessed with Frozen, even at her young, tender age. And they were advertising this new show about princesses like Tangled and Little Mermaid and Sleeping Beauty and stuff, and Frozen. And they were saying, we've even got Frozen on Ice. And I was thinking,
I don't want to be the one that points this out.
Isn't that the point?
Yeah.
But, So
what happens when it starts thawing at the end?
That's it, exactly.
Disney on water.
That's great. So what did you think of Disney Dreams?
The Disney events. I thought they were great. They really put together really well. They it was great that you still get around places. It was crowded, but it was not overly crowded, and they tend to they tend to keep people moving quite well. Like particularly when there's like parades and stuff like that on. The cast members keep control of the situation very well. Actually, one of the funniest and best things we saw there was they had a princess parade during Christmas, which was Anna and Elsa just in a carriage going through Main Street. And obviously they were playing Let It Go while they were doing that. And there was one cast member who was doing the, waving people across the road to Casey's Corner. And he was doing it, but instead of just waving them there, he was doing a full dance to Let It Go while waving people through. And it was brilliant to watch. We tried to get a photograph or some footage of it, but we managed to stuff it up somehow. But it was incredibly funny because I love the stuff and we really get into it and treat it like more than just a job, which I imagine it must be. Events wise, we saw Disney Dreams of Christmas, and we saw there was parades constantly throughout the day. Which, Nick, when you went, was that around Christmas time? Did you see any of those starting when you were there?
No. So my last trip was the beginning of September. So everything was quite kind of synced quite nicely in that nothing really clashed that often. You might have had a few things between the two parks. Like I think one of the day parades was the same time as the Stars and Cars parade, but there was no. So like normally in the studios, there's not a nighttime event. So that's obviously something they do for Christmas. So like normally, all eyes are on Disney Dreams in the evening. Yeah. So it gets heaving. But I mean, I'm sure it was busy when you went, but I mean, really heaving because there's nothing else at that time of night. It's either Disney Dreams or you go home. So yeah. But I mean, did you think it was a good show, Disney Dreams?
I love Disney Dreams. I thought it was fantastic. It just amazes me the things that they can do these days with using the water to project onto, similar to what they do with World of Color and Anaheim, and also projecting onto the castle and the actual. It was pretty much playing Let It Go. I think they also played Love Is an Open Door, but they did it in French. And I thought that was quite nice to be able to see it, done in a different language. So, it was great. And there was still a bit more, traditional Disney stuff in there. There was a Toy Story thing that was too, what was it? The Nutcracker. I think they did some Disney footage to the Nutcracker as well. Okay. I thought it was a really good show. Very, very well put together, and just the timing of the fireworks and everything like that just works so well. So, it's definitely worth staying in the park until closed to catch it, that's for sure.
Because Disney Dreams, because I've never seen the Christmas one. Mr. Dolan's seen the Christmas one last year. No, 2 years now.
Yeah. I saw it last year, but that was even before I'd seen Frozen.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a clue who the characters actually in it were.
Well, that was 2013, wasn't it? So it was just as the film was coming out in the UK. But the regular Dreams show has no Frozen in it. So it didn't have it when I was there. So there's no Frozen in it at all. But what you were saying about the English and French, there's quite a lot of it. So the normal Dreams show is Peter Pan. It's based around Peter Pan. Oh, okay. Peter Pan's shadow basically, plays up like it does and causes all the evil to be released. That's how the show starts. But Peter Pan is in French and Wendy's in English. So they're talking to each other like they're having a normal conversation, but everything she says is in English and everything he says is in French. Or vice versa. I've had a bit to drink, but the fact is that message is even more so. And the only song I can remember being entirely in French was they do a bit with from the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that whole song is French. everything else is normally a mixture of either English and French or just English. But you do feel a sense of trying to represent the two, I suppose, more dominant cultures that would go to Disney Park.
If you're going to follow that through to its natural conclusion, really, as a European Disney park, each of the characters, each of the stories should be represented in the language that the story originally was.
You're right. But
So
I mean,
Frozen should be in Hans Christian Andersen's Danish.
Well, actually, Frozen's set in Norway.
Well, it's set in Norway, but it's from a Hans Christian, same as Little Mermaid.
Touche.
Brave would
subtitles.
Yeah, we could understand. At least we'd get you to translate it for us.
Slightly. Actually, I say slightly off topic, completely off topic. I was watching a documentary on BBC Scotland the other day about a Scottish wrestling company, and I was watching it on iPlayer on my tablet, and I had to actually put on the subtitles because some of it was so heavy in dialogue, like the accent was so thick that I could only get half of what was being said.
Yeah,
and I felt like a terrible Englishman.
I went to the States once, and I was in a hotel room watching Train Spotting on the TV, and they had English subtitles.
Snatch and Lockstock both have English subtitles.
That was bizarre.
Yeah.
So, Lewis, when you went, I'll switch over to the States and go to Anaheim for a bit. Do you get very many Americans asking you where you're from?
Oh yeah. It's I think every American that we spoke to asked us where we were from, because I don't think Americans can really tell the difference that well between an Australian accent, a New Zealand accent, and an English accent.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
No.
So we got asked a lot where we were from. Yeah. It was interesting being in America because we only really spent a week there. So we were there for a week. We spent I think it was four nights at Disneyland, and then the rest of the time we were over in Universal Studios. And if anyone goes to Universal in California, I'd recommend doing the VIP tour there, because the VIP tour, you get escorted around. You get a special backstage tour of the studios, so you actually get off the tram cart thing, and you can go into different places, like where they've got that massive crash scene. You can go and walk through there. You get off at the Psycho House, and there's other things there. You also get escorted onto each of the rides that's there, and get a front of queue pass. You can go on as many times as you want afterwards. And they've got like a small breakfast thing and a lunch thing, and you can do everything in a day really, really comfortably and not have to stress about it. So it's a bit more expensive, but I'd recommend if you want to get it done and dusted in a day, that's a really good way of going about it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I was mainly asking just because the amount of times I've been out there and had people say, "Are you from Australia?" So this podcast is nothing if not educational. So just for the benefit of our American listeners, Lewis has an Australian accent. I have an English accent.
I have some kind of Essex weird accent. Mr. Dolan's Scottish, so.
Yeah.
Danger Dolan's Scottish.
I'm not going to argue with that.
No point.
Because you're from Scotland, Paul, do people mix up where you're from very much?
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly had people in America think that I might be Australian, and I think that's because I've been away from Scotland for a while, and I did live in America for a while, so my accent is a little bit confused. So they know it's different, they know it's not English, but they're not quite sure what it is.
And also, I don't know what it is about you, Paul, but every time I see a picture of you recently, you're wearing this weird hat with corks hanging down.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
We were always going to stereotype at some point.
Yeah. Definitely.
Look, Australia fascinates me. They don't have Burger Kings, they have Hungry Jacks.
Really?
Hungry Jacks, yeah. We have it's only Hungry Jacks is only here in WA though. In the rest of Australia, we've got Burger King, but Hungry Jacks is for some reason, Australia, it's WA, we've got Hungry Jack's and not Burger King. So exactly the same burgers. I actually had a Whopper last night.
Okay, it's not like a different chain. It is actually the same chain, just with a different name.
No,
Well, it is a
exactly.
different.
Same.
Well, technically.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's not owned by
I think
Burger King.
I think maybe it's because in the rest of Australia they're more monarchists, and over here we're not so much. So they just say, well, we don't want to have a king in the name, do we? So we'll go with Hungry Jack instead.
Hungry Jack, the burger president.
Yeah, exactly.
But they even had the same logo. It's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to have
What,
to...
like the old. Do you remember the old bun logo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that.
I'm going to have to Google that at some point.
Yeah. I'm so sad. I'm so sad.
That is
People who listen to this
excellent.
podcast regularly know this anyway about me.
Yeah, well,
So it's not a revelation, but
I think you'll find that we're actually on a podcast drinking beer and talking about Disney as four grown-up men. I don't think you have a right to just describe yourself as slightly sad.
touche.
I don't know what you mean.
So Lewis, I mean, you know, we normally spend quite a lot of time talking about, I'd say Orlando more than the other parks.
Except for last week.
Paris, yeah, Disneyland Paris a very, very close second. Anaheim probably not so much. Having been to all three, and I know this is a very hard question to ask, but do you have a preferred park of those three?
Well, I haven't been to Disney
Oh no, you haven't been to
World
Orlando yet. No, sorry,
yeah.
yes, of course.
Orlando's on the radar
The
for
to-do list, yeah.
2015. So, I think I love Paris and Anaheim. I think Anaheim's going to get just ahead because it was the original Disney park. And when you go in there, you can just feel so much more of Walt's influence in the place. And the fact that there's rides that are still there that he set up himself is just amazing. That, you know, above the fire station, there's the office we used to have, and so the apartment we used to have, and those sort of things. I just think that that makes it a place where all Disney fans have got to eventually go and experience, you know, what they've got there.
Yeah.
So that was brilliant. And I think out of the Disney parks, I think Paris is the prettiest out of all of them. Like when you walk in there and you see the castle, it just takes your breath away every time you see it. So
I think you're right on a Magic Kingdom type park front. A Disneyland
Studios,
park.
Studios a bit different story.
Yeah, forget that exists at the moment.
But no, I think you're right. I mean, I've harped on many a time about how, to me, Disneyland Paris is just when it's been looked after properly, and we know that that's going to be happening again now with the recent changes. That it is stunning. It really is. And I've not been to Anaheim yet, as I said, but when I've seen footage of it, the thing that kind of lets me down a little bit is just how small the castle is at Anaheim. Like, it just looks small fry in comparison. I mean, Cinderella's castle, again, when you go to Disney World, a very, very nice castle, but there's something about Sleeping Beauty in Paris that it's just... I've been to that park countless times now. I think I'm in double figures at least, and every time gets me.
Yeah, no, it's a great park.
It's true.
Like, best castle.
Disneyland's a great park, and I really hope they, with the recapitalisation and everything like that, they get the money to do the park up and get in some more attractions, and hopefully encourage more people to come along so they can start making money there. Because it'd be terrible if the park ever had to shut down. But I think by the sounds of it, Disney seem to want to take on more of it so that they can keep the park going and make it into what they actually want it to be, to make it a profitable venture. So I think
the thing is, it's actually I still believe it is the biggest tourist destination in Europe. This is what's so ludicrous about the whole situation with the finances, is how you can have the most popular by sheer volume of people attraction in Europe, and it's still not making money year on year.
There's nothing that's even close.
it's miles ahead, and yet it's still suffering in the way it is. I mean, Lewis, one thing that is guaranteed, and I will, put any kind of wager you want on this, is that park will never close. Not while Disney are a successful company.
Yeah,
it just will not happen under their watch. This whole thing now with the restructuring, refinancing, which is going through, that's another twist in the tail. And I think we kind of explained before that, the reason why it's owned the way it is down to the way that the French govern businesses to operate within France, and that's fine. If it ever got that dire where the situation was this, Disneyland Paris closes, or they break the rules so that Disney take full ownership of it, it's going to happen. There is no way they would let it close down. There is just no way. There will always be a solution to it. What annoys me the most, I think, about the history of Disneyland Paris is the fact that, from the day it opened, it was seen as a flop. And yet, there wasn't really the need for it. There was lots of things that were done wrong. But, it's like when you get a blockbuster film like Waterworld or something that goes massively over budget. No, the principle applies.
I'm not sure you've described blockbuster necessarily.
But this is the thing. Waterworld is seen as being a massive flop when it came out because the film cost over $100 million.
And Universal Singapore still have an entire stunt show.
Why would they not?
Based around Waterworld.
I mean, I think Hollywood still does.
Hollywood
actually.
still. Well, last time we were there, it did. Yeah.
But the thing is, that film made over. I can't remember the exact figures, but it made 400 million globally. So the thing is, it wasn't a flop. It was seen as one. It was seen as this massive disaster. But actually, if you look at the figures, it wasn't. John Carter was seen as a massive flop. It did actually make its budget back and a bit more. So
paid for
it wasn't that big of a flop. It still, still would have lost some money somewhere, but it wasn't as bad as they kind of deemed it. And that was the thing. I think sometimes if the knives are out, if people want something to fail, they will convince you it's a flop.
Yeah,
I can't see how it. Really, when it's doing, as well as it is, not against targets, but we're talking visitor numbers and everything like that. It's a flop.
It is interesting that the sort of challenges that Disneyland Paris have had, and yet Paramount are still seem to be moving ahead with this park in Gravesend in the UK,
and the one in Murcia in Spain.
Yeah,
at the same time.
Recently, the owner of the land, which is actually a Lafarge Tarmac, they signed an agreement which means that the company, Paramount, can now buy the 388 acres. Interestingly, the executive director of LRCH, which is the Paramount company, is a guy called David Testa. I don't know if it's any relation to old Len.
Oh, we should ask the questions.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is the other thing. We were very, very close to having Disneyland not only built in England, but actually built about 20 minutes from where I live.
Would you have applied for a job? Would you have applied for a part-time job?
Of course not. I would have been 9 years old when it opened. They would have rejected my application. But the fact is that if it had have opened here, it would have still had. I still honestly believe it would still have had the same negative publicity. Difference being that by now, or by 1995, Disney would have bought that outright if they didn't already own it.
Yeah.
And that's the only difference. That's why this has happened, is because Disney haven't had their own way with it. That's it. Anyway, enough about that.
Anyway, yes.
We got Lewis on for a reason.
We have, but we've only got a couple of minutes before they call time. So I just wanted to...
These bar open hours suck. We need to
extend it. Have a lock-in at some point.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quote this. Posted by Nick Branch, 29th of January. Hi all. We're looking to get some feedback on the show to see what works and what doesn't. What you want more of and what you want to hear less of.
And the number of people that said me.
Be as
So
brutal and
disappointing.
honest as possible. I can take it, Jeff. But we can only improve if you tell us. You were brave, man. You were brave. I mean, respect to you asking that question.
Yeah.
But you know what? This is the whole thing. You've got to be cruel to be kind. Lewis was, great in the fact that, we have a lot of listeners. Okay, we do have a lot of listeners. What
Surprisingly,
we don't have,
although we take the mickey out of them.
yeah. Well, I mean, we don't at the moment, but anyway. But we have a lot of listeners, and what we don't get a lot of is interaction. We get some people that we always give shout outs to that do interact with us quite regularly, but we don't often get people contact us. Lewis was somebody who, never really contacted us via Twitter or anything like that much, but messages and said, look, this is what I'm doing, can I have some advice? Started that dialogue. And that's why I was so eager to get him on the show, because you reached out to us, obviously as a fan, and liked what we did. And we were really interested to hear what you had to say. And it's quite hard to do shows like this and not know what people are thinking.
Yeah.
So, Lewis, no pressure at all, but you've been quite quiet on this subject. So, come on, what do you like? What do you like about this show?
No pressure. Thank you for coming on. Now tell us what you don't like. Yeah.
No, I think the show's great. It's I like the bar atmosphere of the show. The Mouse's Head is a very nice pub to visit, I must admit. And yeah, it's great. And I recommend to anyone who's listening and wants to get more involved. Do go to the Facebook page and post questions or give your reviews of your holidays to different Disneyland parks as well. Put up your photographs, make it more community based. In WA, I've been doing a film review show for the last 16 years. And on Facebook, we try to make a community of people into movies. And we find there are people who are regular contributors who will be regularly posting information, stuff like that. But we love new people coming on and giving their opinions and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I recommend, if anyone out there is a Disney fan, that get involved with Disafterdark, send the questions you've got, you're a great bunch of guys. You're very approachable, so yeah, give it a crack.
Well, thank you. But I mean, this really has opened up a new. Paul, did you know that we've got essentially the Australian Barry Norman on the phone? Or the Australian Roger
I
Ebert?
had heard, and I feel I may have to wake him up at 5 a.m. next time we need a review of something like Big Hero 6, because you're biased.
That is not true. And I'll tell you why, because if you remember, I may have loved Big Hero 6, but I took a big fat dump over Maleficent, okay? So I'm not that biased.
That's true. What answers did we get? Well, let's have a look. Alex Harvey. And yeah, she completely agrees with Craig Lucas. So perhaps I should read Craig's out first. Would that make sense?
That would have made more sense.
Yeah. All right. Hang on a minute. Let's rewind again. Craig Lucas. Seriously, I think Paul Dolan needs a new mic, and you've treated yourself to one, haven't you?
Done
Paul?
it. Yeah. So we responded to that feedback.
Crystal, yeah.
You have to get back on track with regular recording. I think we're managing so far, but it is only 2 weeks.
That's like saying I've given up cigarettes and I'm on day 2.
Yeah. I love it when you have guests on. You see, that alludes to what Lewis just said. So we need more of you to let us know and say, can I come on, please? We're happy to have you, as long as you want to sit in a bar talking Disney.
Yeah.
And I love it when a topic excites you as the conversation flows freely. I'd lose all the silly segments. I didn't. Did we do segments? We kind of.
Yeah, we had a few.
But I completely agree with Craig there. I lose all the segments because that means I don't have to bother making new jingles. Just run with a guest topic or recent news stories. And Alex Harvey. Alex, hello. I like your Facebook picture.
That does not sound creepy. So basically,
is that slightly creepy now?
Yeah,
okay,
that's the last Harvey ever listens to.
Well, I'm about to ruin it because you're here. She completely agrees with Craig that Paul needs a new mic. The pub singer, no, that's her fast forward part.
We'll have a word with him.
Do you know what? I wish I could fast forward through it when he's there. He hasn't been around for a little while. He might be back, and we'll be apologise for then. But then we might lose the segment. But then she says she lives with the greatest pub singer ever. So I apologise for the grrr comment. Mr. Pat Pending. Is he a professor? He should be so. Professor Pat Pending. I do hope so. She commented that with, I feel a challenge coming on. Oh, Alex, bring it on. If he doesn't know you're recording him, all the better. Just record it, get your phone, send it in, we'll play. What else we got here? Kevin Curtis Allen. He just states more drinking.
Yeah, you know what? I think people are worried that we're not drunk enough anymore.
I think we have tried to be almost professional. And
it's hard, man. For anyone out there that keeps suggesting just more drink, we are trying to host a semi-professional thing.
I
might have to try and think
that's where we're going wrong.
In a few hours' time. So
here are the last two, and I think these are even more of a challenge than less drinking. And the first one is that Nick needs to down a pint every time he uses other are available.
Not needed to down one tonight.
And Paul could down a pint every time he sighs.
I believe the count tonight was 2. That included one during the pre-show.
Yeah, I apologise. I didn't realise. I used to use absolutely a lot, and then I managed to cut that out, and I've obviously replaced it with sighing. So now I'm going to have to find something else.
Mate, it's got to the point where people have asked me if your favourite Mel Brooks film is Silent Movie. Sigh.
Oh, dear, yeah. Okay. You see, normally I would sigh at that point, but I'm not going to, deliberately. No. I see what you did there, but I'm not going to fall for it.
So can I plug it? Can I plug another Disney podcast? Have you mentioned that?
Yes, you can. We don't mind. That depends. I might edit it, but you can.
If people were after a Disney podcast where the goal of it is to be drunk, there's a Disney podcast called Drunk Disney, where it's these guys from Canada who they review Disney movies, but they do it while getting progressively drunk. So it's quite an interesting show. So if you like Disney and you like drinking, I would recommend Drunk Disney.
Nate, that's what I need to do during Maleficent, quite clearly.
I think I know the guys doing it. We know at least one of them, I'm pretty sure.
They'd be good to get on as well, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've had one of them on.
We'll have to do that on a Saturday night record.
Yeah,
so
I'm not doing it on
Sunday night.
I'm not doing it on school night.
Yeah.
Look, Lewis, thank you ever so much for joining us. Also, thank you to everyone that's given us feedback so far. Now, we've posted this out there. We've had some great feedback already, so thank you. We still want more. So if you haven't seen the post, but you're hearing this now, obviously visit our website at www.disafterdark.com. Oh, the alcohol's kicked in. Or email us at podcast@disafterdark.com.
Or you can tweet us
at
Disafterdark. You can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on micechat.com.
We'll give up Paul's address so you can send him personal letters. If you cut the letters up and stick them to a bit of paper, even better. It looks more threatening that way. Or YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
Which Paul are you talking about now? Just for the record.
Bodyface.
Okay.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're kind of in charge. Lewis, before we end the show, especially what you've told us about yourself, this is the point of the show where you plugged us, you've plugged other things. I want you to plug you.
Excellent. Well, if you want to stay in contact with me, we've got 2 Facebook pages, both of which you can find by searching for Funky Films. And one of them is a group which you can request to join, which is the more community-based one. And the other one is just a like Facebook page, and that way if you like us, then you'll see the stuff that we post up there. So if you're into movies, please do like us or join our group on Facebook. And it'd be good to hear from you.
So that's FUNK, as in getting down to the music.
Exactly, FUNKY, Funky Films. That's the one.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think you've been very entertaining tonight. I've enjoyed having you on. I think we all have. And so anyone that's heard this and enjoyed you as well, Go find him. Go find him on Facebook.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to join us at any time you feel like. You've got our Skype address now.
I mean, not literally at any time because of the time difference.
Obviously.
Yeah, not 5
it may
minutes.
not work out.
He knows what I meant. There's no need to be pedantic now.
That's my shtick.
Well, seeing as I quite often try and describe us as the Top Gear podcast, on that bombshell.
Growing older is mandatory. Growing up is optional. Dis After Dark, the podcast that's nearly the same as all the
I'll
others.
just hit that button randomly.
Yeah, not even like outros. Lewis wanted to say goodbye. And
Hey, wait a minute. Look, I fade it out and then I go, and we're out, don't I? All right, just let it finish. Don't push me.
Oh,
I'm a donkey on the
that's
edge.
fighting talk.
I was going to say, this is the alcohol's kicking in now.
Yeah, we don't want another bar fight again.
I'm a donkey on
Probably
the
just
edge.
cleaned up after the last one.
Cleaned up. I'm obviously in the wrong bar tonight then, because it doesn't look clean in here.
This is why Lewis said it looked like a nice pub.
From the outside.
Yeah. Let's add it up.
Yeah. Anyway, only got 5 seconds to go. Come on. Final words from anyone else, because I always do it.
Night.
Night. Lewis,
Good morning.
Please out us. That's the wrong time, isn't it?
Yeah,
Get that
it
one
does,
right.
yeah.
Sorry,
So you know
Lewis
what,
gone
Lewis,
out
say
us.
goodbye or something.
Yeah. See you, folks. Bye.
Silence for the trigger.